welcome everybody to the Mastermind. For anyone who's coming on late, they'll just catch up. So today it's kind of the art of mastering the sales hook. But before we get into that, I know Jonathan Whiting, if you're here, he wants to speak a little bit to mindset. And then I always open the floor first and foremost to wins, because it's always fun when we get to hear from you directly. If you have a lead that you have a win with, it doesn't have to be a listing appointment. It just could be, hey, a great conversation you had, or something that you found is working with StreetText, whether it's a text or email, that's gotten you some good feedback. So who wants to start? Don't be shy, or I'll start calling on you. Starting with the people on camera.
Chair.
Hey.
Hey. So I wanted to share, so I've been with StreetText probably since October. And one of my very first leads that I had, I'd sent a quick CMA to them and I hadn't heard back, and I followed back up probably a few weeks later, sorry, because I know he had watched the video but never responded. And I just followed up and said, hey, just wanted to make sure you received it. It goes to spam. So we started to have a conversation, and so we were actually out looking at homes yesterday, looking at homes that are probably $1.2, $1.3 million, and their home will probably sell for about 1.1 when we get there. So.
Okay, I'm not going to leave you with that, because that's amazing, and that's going to be a very nice paycheck. How did you do it? How often did you check in? What was the conversation like in the beginning? Talk to us about your entire follow-up process that got to that appointment.
I would say my process is not very streamlined. I'll be honest with you. I sent out the CMA probably within a few days, and it was I had a template with the bomb video in there, and I just followed up a few days later when I noticed that he had opened it but hadn't responded. So it was just basically, did you see it? What did you think about it? And then he just started to ask questions, and we did set up an appointment, and I went down and looked at his house, because I said, I don't know what your house looks like on the inside. It would always help. And so I did go for that appointment to see their home and gave them a ballpark. And we've just kind of kept in touch. And I know I've just let the automatic emails do their thing, but he would reach out every once in a while asking certain homes what they sold for. And so we've been keeping in touch that way.
Did you guys catch that though? One of the big things there I think is huge is, did you get it? Did you get it? You don't just send a home value and just say, oh, I did my job. Did you get it? And then ask questions particularly about what they thought that home value was. So when you asked, did you get it? Did you ask them specifically what they thought about it? Or if they have any questions, do you remember the text or the email that you kind of used there?
No, I said, sometimes it goes in, did you see it? Did you look at it? What do you think? I know sometimes they go into spam filters, so I just wanted to make sure that you received it. And then he watched it. And that was it, really. I mean, he wasn't very engaging in terms of dialogue and conversation. I said, if you want to get an idea of your home, I just need to come. And he's like, yeah, sure. Okay, whatever day. And it's only in the last couple of weeks where he's been really testing, and they're interested in upgrading. They need a bigger home. And so he's been a little bit more engaging with me. So, but it's always been through email.
There you go. Any questions for Teresa? That's going to be a nice one for you.
Eventually.
Awesome. Who else wants to share? That's a great story. And that was an email exchange. There's a lot of those happening. So did you use bomb video with that? I
did, yes.
Okay, cool.
Hey, I've had great success. I guess I pulled the trigger. I've been playing around with this, off and on for a year. Finally got serious about it a month ago when I subscribed to the service. I just was running basically one ad, and in a month I've had 121 leads. I've sent out 39 CMAs and took 2 listings. So I'm loving it. This is really working.
Tell us about those 2 listings. How did they come about?
Both were, the first one I listed, we're going on the market actually tomorrow at $384.9. So for my area, our average sales price is probably $220. So it's a nice listing. that one there, they just corresponded with the AI constantly. They would get a text or an email or something, and then they would send back like a huge laundry list of improvements. So I would touch base with them saying, hey, thanks. I basically just let them know if anybody from the team would correspond, just feel free to respond, and then they'll copy me in the messages. That way it can just do its thing. The other one, they just inquired one time. I sent them the valuation and they called me back saying, hey, when can we meet? So that one was a slam dunk. I'll take those all day long. But yeah, and now I'm working out constant contact drips and so forth to hit the other ones and just keep in front of them every couple of weeks. So I'd imagine I'll be able to pan out 5 to 10 of those. So for me, that's a slam dunk home run for a month.
I had a question for you, Paul, real quick. Have you made any edits to the automations, like with the Julie text or your email?
No.
So you've left them completely default so far?
Just completely default. The only thing I've done is when I set up the initial ad, I took out the location and put the house emoji. That's it.
Perfect. And no bomb video in your email or anything yet?
I have not yet. That'll be my next step. I've been looking at and I don't know if these numbers are good. My cost per click is $1.73. And I don't know, where's my cost for, the reach is decent. I've had better reach. My reach is 612.
Reach is always good. Reach is good for when you're disseminating information again, but when
Right.
for lead generation, really I want more reach, of course, always, but it's really how much are you currently paying for the actual inputted information. Cost per click of $1.70 is good anywhere, even in a 220, 230 median.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that there. Hopefully your cost per lead is somewhere around that $2.25 mark, and your cost per email most likely is around $7 or $8. I'd just assume. Obviously,
Well, in my ad funnel, it says right now that my current lead price is 17 cents. So I don't know what I'm running two concurrent. I did a split test and I've just let them both run because they were both performing. And what's an extra $9? So the one is 17 cents and the other one is 25 cents.
I'm just going to look into your account. I'll be able to give you more insight in a second, but that sounds very, very good.
If it's really, that's the cost, and I only get email from Facebook I don't know how often they email, but my bills are cheap. So I'm thinking if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm just letting it run.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Paul.
You got it.
Anybody else want to share before we go and get into to John's quick?
I have a little bit of a win. It's sort of an embarrassing win though. So I just signed on to Jennifer's course, and while going through it, I realized that I didn't quite have the right BombBomb account. I had some sort of kerfuffle with KW. I tried to sign on through BombBomb through them, and I wasn't getting the full access. So I finally signed on to it the other day, and lo and behold, my emails are getting open. So that's a huge improvement.
Love it. Thanks for sharing. And with Jennifer's course, she'll really go into the science of getting that open. So the more you realize, okay, it's an automation, but then it's the personal touch. And if that personal touch that you send doesn't get open, she has 2 or 3 different ways to get that open. And I think that's a big part of her success is, making sure that 90% rate is eventually there. She's going to go after the open. She's going to get the communication received. Awesome. Thanks for the share. John, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, so something I've been thinking about is the 80-20 rule. We talk about this every once in a while, the Pareto principle. And what's interesting about the Pareto principle is that the guy, Pareto, who first came up with it, he was observing his garden and he was looking at his beans, and he noticed that 20% of his beans produced 80% of the produce. And he thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if, like being an economist, I wonder if you could extrapolate that and look at broader trends. And he noticed that so he studied real estate, and he looked at real estate itself, and he discovered that 20% or 80% of real estate was owned by 20% of people. And he thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if that's a natural phenomenon in economics. And since then, they've taken the Pareto principle and they've applied it to almost everything. And the trend remains the same. So if you look at any activity that a person does, about 20% of the jobs or the activity that we do produces 80% of the outcomes that we're looking for. And it's really, really powerful when you realize that, because what that means is that, you know, in a day-to-day, there's 24 hours in a day. There's 100 different activities that could take up all 24 of your hours, but only 20 of those 100 activities are going to produce the outcomes that you're looking for. So if you can prioritize those 20 activities that are really counting for something, that drives the outcome in an accelerated way, because everybody has the same amount of time in the day. But how we prioritize the things that we do affects how much impact we have in our day-to-day. And that obviously compounds, because, you know, we have an impactful day on Monday, and an impactful day on Tuesday, an impactful day on Wednesday. It's that you're compounding what the impact you're having. And, you know, with StreetText, it's partially why it's actually, you know, very core to why we designed the platform the way we did, is that we knew that there was, you know, 100 different things we could build, but really there was just a couple things that were going to really drive the impact for lead generation and allow you to get in front of people really effectively and reach more home buyers and more home sellers. And so I just want to really encourage you with that, because in the day-to-day, as we talk about the sales processes, we talk about, you know, what's working, what's not working, all that thing. That's why, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we really encouraged everyone to take a moment and take a look at your last year and say, okay, what were the activities that really drove the outcomes for you last year, and double down on those, because those activities, those are your 20% that are driving your fruit. And, you know, everybody in this group, I think, gets this and understands this principle and knows it really, really well. And so it's nothing new. It's just sometimes it's good to be reminded of it, so that in the morning or the day or whatever our schedule is, we can sort of, it's like, okay, clarity, let's focus on these things. They're going to create the outcomes that we're looking for, which is obviously to serve more clients and to really grow your business. So that's all. I want to kind of kickstart there. So Troy, you can kind of take it over from here as far as getting into sort of like the sales process and really focusing actually, and this is partially inspired by Leon. You had requested in a couple masterminds ago if we could dig a little bit more into some of the messaging and, you know, so what are people sending and how's it working? And so I'll let Troy kind of take that away.
Yeah, so sales hooks. I mean, the big thing is your emails, all right? One of the things that we all talk about here is we're running this ad. If it's on the seller side, the offer is a home valuation. So how are we going to serve them and make sure that they get that home evaluation? How are we going to start a conversation with these people, even on our first initial automated email that goes out? All right, so that's kind of what we're taking a look at today. And we can even apply this even into your texts, into automated texts or whatever that is, and even in your conversation with people. So I don't necessarily like to call it sales hooks, because it has this like feeling of, you know, it's going to be salesy and that sort of thing. But how do we use what works out there? So I wanted to talk mainly about emails. There's a lot of people that get really focused on their open rates, right? And so we can look at what is going to get you higher open rates, especially when you're providing a home valuation, because you really do want them to open that because that's what they have requested, right? So, but one thing to note is sometimes we get hung up on the open rate. And in 2020, so get your notebooks out, you can write these notes down as we go. But in 2020, the average open rate is 21.3%, right? So when you're looking at your open rates, and I know some people have like a 40% open rate and they're not super happy with that. But when you realize and you compare that the average out there is just over 20%, if you're getting better than that, you're actually doing really, really well, right? So can it be better? Absolutely, there's always room for improvement, but don't beat yourself up if you're sitting at like, 20%, 25%, because when you compare yourself to average, that's actually pretty good. You're like sitting right in there, right? Now, if you're getting upwards of like 60, 70, fantastic. That's awesome, right? So, but there can always be a little bit of improvement. One thing to note is that if an email is not opened 3 times in a row, some clients will then go, okay, that's not interesting to you. It might be spam. Okay, so just one thing to be aware of when it's going through that, the likelihood of if they don't open it, then the likelihood of it now starting to go to spam actually increases. So really something to consider when you're looking at you're trying to make sure that you have a good open rate. And some of these other little things to do. So a couple of other little statistics. Tuesdays gets the highest open rate by far across all the days of the week, and then it tapers off into the weekend, and then the beginning of the week actually kind of drives up. It's actually kind of a natural cadence with a lot of different things. But what's really important is that mid-afternoon is the highest open rate. So about 3 o'clock is when you see the most open rates, like overall email gets opened the most. And so one thing to consider is when you're sending out your home valuation, if you can even hold them back. So maybe they came in like the night before, right? Or even like at, maybe it was 5 o'clock that, like 5 o'clock today, and you want to send it out at 6, maybe just hold off until about 1, just afternoon, afternoon around 1 or something like that. So it's in there. So it's sitting there in their inbox when they're most likely to actually open it. So something to consider. You might want to batch send those. Personalized subject lines. This is huge. A personalized subject line can lift your open rates by 20%. Right? So having their like home address in there, having their name in there, everybody loves to hear their name, right? What's the word that we all love the most is our name, right? So having it in there personalizes it for them, but also makes it feel like it's not necessarily automated, or you've taken that care to at least address them, right, by name. So personalizing it is going to increase that. The most clicked on words are secrets and awesome. So if you're looking at your email campaign, you might want to consider what are some other, like when you're putting together an email that might go in there. So maybe put in awesome, or, maybe there's like secrets to selling your home, right? Something like that. So you can kind of take those words in there. Words that will flag your email for spam are confirm, right? So you don't want to put in, hey, confirm your details, or features and upgrade, right? So those are some words that if the email client detects in there, they go, yeah, usually those are like spammy emails. We're going to send that to spam. So consider some of those things. When you're looking at your subject line, this is a big thing, is typically you want to keep it under 50 characters, right? If you keep it under 50 characters, it's not going to get cut off. You don't want that to fully get cut off. But to that end, between 6 to 10 words is about the sweet spot. 8 is like ideal, right? So if you can keep your subject lines to around 8 words in there, that's going to help, right? Because now they're going to see that, they can read the full subject. It's actually going to pull up. It's not going to get like, ... or cut off or whatever it is it's going to look like in their clients. But you definitely want them to read that, because if they read that, that's kind of the hook into opening that email, right? Excuse me. What things you want to consider is emojis do work, but the overuse of emojis will actually go into the negative. And so if it's like emoji, and you'd be like, they actually get treated as like a exclamation mark, right? So again, too many exclamation marks, it's going to look like it's a marketing email, and it's going to go either spam or into that marketing folder. So things to consider there. Question marks and hashtags don't work in subject lines. So those are a lot of those little things that you can use in your subject line when you're considering it, when you're considering what it means. So personalizing it, making it short and sweet. Numbers work in there. Jen has labeled that in her course, right? Here's, you know, the top 3, you know, yada, 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 yada. People want to know those kind of numbers. So you can ask a compelling question in there. You want it to feel special. This one's for Logan. Don't use all caps. No, just kidding. We have a joke inside the office when Logan wants anything get done, he just says it all in all caps. But
and then it gets done, Troy. That's the
then
only
it gets
way
done.
It gets done.
In an email, it's not going to get it opened. You're yelling at people. They don't like it. But it comes across as salesy. That's the biggest thing. Like, you don't want it, you want it to be inviting. It's about inviting a conversation. That's why it's when you personalize things. Another thing to consider is, what are the first 150 characters in the body of the email? That shows up as kind of the preview, right? So, you know, when you're looking through your email, you'll see like the subject line, and then you'll see like a little bit of a preview of what the email actually is. That's where that first 150 lines, if there's enough of a preview, so really consider what's in there, right? If your one thing that also gets open rates is if your email has a video in it. Saying video in the subject line goes hand in hand, right? So that's kind of, they play together in that. So just a couple of little things for you guys to consider, those little sales hooks. Now, always test, try it out, right? Try an email out for a little while, see what the open rate is, do a subtle change, do a different one, and then you can kind of see what the difference is, right? So I've done this even with a couple of my own emails. I launch it for like a week, see what's going on, and then try something else, launch that for another week and go, okay, did I get a better lift? Sometimes I do. I'll get like a 5% lift. I'm like, great, that's a little bit better than what I've had previously, right? So don't be afraid to test. Don't be afraid to try different things. You know, Jennifer talks about, like, when she uses BombBomb, she knows if they haven't opened it, she will send it the home evaluation again with a slightly different subject line. But also, it's going to hit their inbox at a slightly different time, right? If your inbox is anything, especially my personal inbox, if it's anything like mine, by the time I get to it in the evening, there's like 100 emails in there. And as much as I like to unsubscribe from everything, sometimes I just don't get unsubscribed, and I still have 100 in there. And your email could get lost in that, right? And if people don't see it, that's just the nature of the game, right? But if you're doing all these things to make sure that you serve, make sure that you try to get that into it, make it compelling, that they actually want to open it, they actually want to see that home evaluation, they actually want to connect with you. Hey, this person sounds friendly or nice, or they're just trying to serve me, or they're just trying to give me some info that's valuable. Those are all little things that are little hooks that are going to get that to be opened. You're going to get that reply, right? Or, you know, and then you can take that even into your text, right? So we'll maybe talk about that in the future with some text messages. One thing to consider when you're replying, especially when you have used automated text, or even just replying yourself, putting punctuation, like ending a sentence with a period or punctuation, is a flag to some systems and even to people that it is automated, that it's not real, it's a bot, it's AI. Because naturally, to put in like a punctuation is actually kind of like a little bit of an extra step on the keyboard. And a lot of people like naturally just like lost punctuation. I mean, English is going, our grammar is going downhill with text. But if we make it look natural, then it feels natural and people are more likely to reply.
I think this is a really important, simple thing to get more replies. So throw in a spelling error every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, if you write something, you know, and it feels a little weird not having that you know, punctuation mark, just skip it and see what happens, because it just looks like a real person wrote that message. And so if you're leveraging Julie to save you a ton of time to follow up with everybody, because it's really hard sometimes to, like, say you've got, you know, 20 new people come through in a week, and you want to send 4 follow-up reminders just to kind of keep in touch to see if until they respond, you know, that's 80 messages. It's a lot of messages to remember to do over. So that's where Julie can really save you time. But if you're having Julie save you time, you want to make it as effective as possible. So having a spelling mistake in there intentionally, or doing something that you know is going to look really like natural, it's gonna make that message feel like someone took the time to write it and then send it. And I think that's a really big thing. And the other thing I noticed, I'm just going to throw out there as well, because we're talking about best practices. You know, I've noticed that I have a personal blog, and on my personal blog, I get a lot of people like write comments. I got lots and lots of comments, and I'm not able to get to every single comment in you know, on the day. And so what I'll do is kind of time block a day on the weekend. I go in there and I just follow up with all the comments that I got on the blog. And what I noticed is that when I follow up to people on the comments on the blog, if it's been within about that sort of 24-hour time period of writing a comment, they're the ones who are likely to respond. But the ones who wrote the blog comment early in the week, they don't respond. So the more time that we give before, like, you know, fulfilling or sending the information or reaching out, we're basically giving, it's like we're losing the opportunity to create that conversation. We're reducing our chance that conversation, we're going to get that response. And so that's another benefit of having something like a Julie set up, is because now you have a message getting sent to people, at least on a phone number, really, really early. And I would try to do the same thing with your emails. I'd have some like an email going out really early so that you're getting what they asked for as soon as possible, because you're increasing that opportunity that you're gonna get a response. But again, throw in those mistakes and it looks real.
I agree. I would say change your emoji or change your AI, especially Julie. I'm finding a lot of people that are changing that, especially the second text message, as Ira has alluded to in the announcement section, throwing a little emoji, change it up, use words like awesome. That gets you a lot of results. I know Wendy and Jennifer have done that and have found really good results in that. So just something to think about. It's a really easy change to make.
Well, what you're sending out from Julie as well, don't use proper English. Go ahead and use the acronyms, abbreviations, whatever. Because like I said, you're looking for real. Everybody's an English major and they'll chop you apart when you're going through the other stuff. So if you're going to make it a text going out, make it a text like it should go out.
So one thing we could do is feel free to share in the insider group. That group is for you guys. So if you've gone in and you've made some adjustments and you've seen some better reply rates to your emails, or open rates, or replies to Julie, share what you did so everybody else can kind of learn from that. That's the strength of this community, is you can learn from each other, and as a group we can actually improve all together instead of being on an island. So, you know, take all those little things into consideration and play with it.
I think the key takeaway there too is you never want to allow anybody to interpret your communication as being an AI. You know, if they can even feel it, let alone like interpret it as being something that feels scripted or unnatural, then you're probably like, if you're even thinking that's coming across, then that's definitely coming across. So if you can really begin to look at your emails and, you know, your SMS and your email automations, especially in the first week, I don't care what you do like beyond that, because that kind of does its thing. But in the first week, I would do everything to make sure that felt natural, that it felt like that was a real person reaching out, that there was personality behind it. You know, that's just me. And I'm seeing it even with like, I always thought you needed video, but I'm looking at Melissa Porter, and there's a group there's a post in the group that shows you how she's getting 3 or 4 listing appointments just by asking someone to text her pics and using a different subject line with, you know, I don't know if you guys saw that one. If you haven't, type in Melissa Porter in the StreetText group. It's a phenomenal post. I can find it and share with you, but it's just small things like that can make all the difference. Awesome. Keep going, Troy. You got any more? I feel like there's someone who's got some background noise. Who is it?
Yeah, somebody's having a really good discussion. No, I mean, I didn't want, that's what I have, you know, kind of for what I've notes for you guys. And was just chatting with Jonathan. I think what Shane and I will do and Shay, I'm putting you on the spot here, is we can put together a little document for you guys with some of these notes, with some of these ideas, some of these tips, and maybe we can do a little bit of research and find some winning subject lines for you guys so that to follow. Because sometimes we can talk about this stuff, but then it flies over our head and then it's hard to apply it.
Yeah, well, let's dive in. Does anyone have an email or text message that they're getting really great responses from that they want to share?
John, here's one. So this is the one to share, because this is a specific email script and text that got Melissa, I think she's got 4 listing appointments from it. So look at this one, the subject line, free CMA, no obligation. So it's not like that. It's like, oh, you know, free CMA, no. Like that wouldn't be like the grammar way of doing it. Free CMA, no, right? But obviously got the attention, no obligation, comma, just giving back, smiley face. That was not even a real emoji, just a smiley face. You know, and essentially it's just saying, hey, Marcus, Melissa here with crewproperties.com. Do you mind sending me a few interior pics so I can get a more exact evaluation? Please know that I'm a small business owner that puts her clients' needs over numbers. There's no obligation for my free CMA capital. I'm just giving back. I'm gonna, you can text pics to this number. That's it. That's it. And she's gotten listing appointments from that. She's not even had any video in there so far. And she's saying this is working so well for her. I don't know if she's doing it after she sends some sort of initial value, but just something to look at right there. That's really awesome. I mean, you could probably automate something like that if you had it in your process. You could probably automate that in your email exchange, but that in itself just shows you how powerful that type of script can be. You guys find that? Like, that's a pretty cool email, right?
I love that. Hi, guys. Yeah. Funny story about the email that goes out, the saying, are we Facebook friends yet? So this lady messages me and says, no, we're not. I didn't get your request. And it was a lady that I couldn't find. Well, there was like 12 of them. And she has a really, really hard, difficult name. And I can't believe there was that many people. So I screenshotted one of them. And I'm like, is this you? Because this is who I sent it to. And I said, if not, here's my link to Facebook. Click on it and friend request me. And she emailed me back this morning and she's like, no, I'm the one with the blue dress by the lilies. And I still can't find her. So I just emailed her back and I'm like, shoot, you must have a private account. They can't find you, but here's my link. Go ahead and click on it and friend request me. So we're going back and forth about being friends on Facebook. It's just so funny. So hopefully we'll be BFF soon.
Love it.
And I think all of this really lends itself well to a discussion I saw going on in the insider group about, you got to understand that people are clicking on your ads sometimes thinking it's automated. I would say the majority of people do think it's automated. So like, don't be surprised. Like, they're not expecting you go to lengths to get, we're so used to having so many automated services nowadays. So it's like our job to educate people that it's not automated. So things like that, are we friends on Facebook already? They're like, oh, like that's, this isn't automated. Like there's a person on the other end of it. So don't be surprised when people do put their address in because they just moved into the house and they're trying to see if it increased in value. They didn't know they were putting it into a system that had a real agent on the other side working it. So be courteous and polite in the way that you communicate with them when you start learning that, and look at it at our job is to learn the motivation behind the click, the reason they click. So if you get a response and the person says, hey, I just moved in, or you find out the person just moved in, your job is somewhat done in the sense that I know what their motivation was. Let me check that off. Let's look at the next person. So then you start to eliminate the people that are coming in and start to focus your attention on the ones that click that might actually benefit from your service. And then you go to town servicing those people. So instead of looking at it as a lose, look at it as a win. Like when you have an answer behind the click, now it's a win because now you know why they clicked it, what their motivation was, you know how to serve them on it, and you know who gets pushed to the top of your list. So our job is to to really make sure that the automations aren't automated, that they look to be, like Wendy was saying a while ago, that person reached out and said, you've just been so dang consistent. And she's like, it's not me, it's my system. Like she thinks that Wendy's sitting on her email. And even I have some email campaigns that go out to like other people I have, and people will answer them all the time because they think I've just messaged them. They don't know I've sent it to the thousands of people on my list. And they're like, oh, sorry, Ira, I'm not gonna be able to make this event, but I'm thinking about you. And they're messaging me back because they think that the message was personally written to them. So that's what you want. You want your automations to look like that.
Right, but even the ones that say I just moved in and want to know if if I still got a good deal or whatever, I always say, oh, congratulations, let me set you up on this super cool program called HomeBot, and it will let you know the value of your home every month. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. So they love it. And then one of them referred me to their neighbor that was moving. So I mean, it's just, they're all wins.
Exactly. It's all relationship. And if you serve people well, you have no idea what that transaction looked like of them getting into that house. I mean, we're joking around here. You've heard Troy is moving again. Like Troy put his house on the market. Troy just moved into that house. He wasn't expecting to be moving, but things change. He had an awesome relationship with his realtor, but if it wasn't a good transaction, who knows? Like people look and people say, well, I had an awful one and a friend just asked me for someone and you seem a lot nicer than the one I just had. So it's all about relationship. And right now during COVID, our ways of making relationship are being challenged. So this is what we have to work with right now.
So Carmen asked a good question as well.
There we go.
What if they say they expect it to be a computer and they don't want a real person? So I know there's going to be a ton of great responses that you're going to have as well in this group. And so I'm going to open it up the floor, so to speak. But all I want to say is this, it's like one of the really simple things you can do to respond to that question is say, here's the reality. If you want to know what the computer says about your market, pull up the lowest or the most wrong CMA that they can get online right now. So go to Zillow, go to, you name it, wherever you go pull up the worst one and then send it to them. Like that's what the computer will send to you. But as we know, every home is unique. Your home is unique. You've got to, maybe you've done updates, maybe you've done, don't say upgrades or new features, but maybe you've done some work on your home, or maybe it's, that you've just got a beautiful spot in your street. Your home is unique. And so it takes a real person to go in and actually see and assess your home for what it is, because it's going to be worth different than what the computer thinks it is. And so, and that's why me as a professional, that's why I'm here, because I'm a real person. I can come in and I can actually have a look at your home and I can assess it. And I know what's going on in the market. And you can send a quick, a real quick 1, 2, 3. This is what, comparables. But again, your home is unique. It's personal to you, and it's going to be personal to someone who buys it. So it's I think a good opportunity to have a good conversation with someone who says that too. But I'd love to know, what do you say right now? Like Wendy, when someone, or even Leon, like if someone asked you that question, how do you respond?
And a lot of those on Facebook, like, they'll just say it right there. And it's just like, I needed an immediate response. When I ask for something, I want it like right then, why is it not needed? And I say, well, you can get that on Zillow, trulyrealtor.com. I said, but we take the time to make sure that, we're sending you some good information. And, like I say the same thing, every house is unique. So a computer's not going to see that, but we can. So that's why, we say, in order to get a true value of your home, I would actually need to see your home, see what kind of updates you did to it, what you haven't did to it, and then go from there. So, but yeah, basically that's all we say. And some are happy with that and some, don't. And they'll give some weird website, like I've never even heard of. Well, I can get my value on here. Well, okay, bye-bye. Go do that. So.
What if you said something like, unlike a computer, just like a human, every home is unique, right? So it's a nice comparison. Like every computer, it's an Apple computer, they're all the same. They all have the same value.
And bad information can be good information. because anything that gets you the engagement to step in. So when you turn around and something goes out, like HomeBot for me isn't always the most accurate. And when they turn around and tell me it's all wrong, it's bad information, I just sit back laughing out loud. I totally agree, but I wanted you to see what the internet and the rest of the world thinks your home is worth. And then I try to step in with, but now that I've got you on the phone and got your attention, may I ask what you have so I can update it and give you some good numbers, and it gets you in the door. I'm more about getting that yes, no response. People are quick to correct you about what's wrong or what's not right, rather than, don't give them all the information they need. And if you're totally correct, then they have no reason to talk to you. They've got all the information. So give just enough, when they say setting a hook, set enough to make them nibble, make them bite, get them curious, and then feed off that. But when you come back at them, I like to be sitting in front of a computer somewhere, or I'll look up the information so that when I come back, I'm going to have good information, because you're only going to have the attention span for so long. And if you don't have something good, they're gone.
Right. And one of them that was complaining that they didn't get anything was, I saw his name and we got his name. He sent in his name, but then he said Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's like, and we sent him an email asking him for his full address. It's like, you really want to know the value of Las Vegas, Nevada? But anyway, so he complained on the Facebook link, and then I had to tell him, well, we did send you an email asking for your full address because we can't really give you a home value without it. And then he finished doing what he was supposed to. So it was funny. People are crazy.
So I want to share, Janky's messaged me. She can't be here, but she wanted to say that she followed up 7 times with this person, hit him with a newsletter, postcard, proof of production. They were hit up on HomeBot, BombBomb video, all angles and hooks they used. They said they spent less time asking about questions about upgrades, but more about when's a good day and time to see their home, as they have many buyers looking in the area. So, and dive right into the questions, hooking questions such as, how does that sound? And does this day or does this time work? Is a good way to get them to respond. So that was her. Just thought I'd share.
I responded to your thing, Marcus, the other day about, said struggling to see the value of StreetText. And I actually put a link for a chart in there. So it went right along with what we're talking about on here earlier for Troy, showing the best times it said for calls and emails. And it even had a chart for those numbers. So if people want to go in the insider group later to look at those, the reference, they're pretty spot on. 20% was the email rate, by the way, for what they were saying, but it showed the text. And the coolest part though is it had the time of day calendar. I always liked hitting people up between around 11 or so, because I want to catch them in the morning or late morning before their brain is fried. But I think maybe the email thing is people later in the afternoon finally get a chance to getting around to their email. So that's quite possibly why you're getting the better open rate.
Those are great points. If you can, get someone when they're fresh, especially if you're having a conversation about real estate, that's going to be really helpful, because people need to be clear-minded when they're thinking about the value of their home, and you wanting, even, little things like even how hydrated a person is going to make a difference. But yeah, so you're, Leon, a question for you. I mean, I know you do a lot of automations. You've got a really good one built out. At what point do you notice that you get the most responses?
It's funny. My theme for 2021 was less automated, less is better, and I'm streamlining down more. I'm even to the point where my later on follow up is just like after month 9, I'm going to maybe 2 or 3 touches a month, which would be emails and texts. And that's not counting what HomeBot will still be sending out and whatever. But kind of like, and this is funny, Janky and her profiling on folks, I do look to see, when I say get away from automation, everybody has a different time. So there's no way you should log in and all 800 leads hit you at 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's actually a benefit for you, because it spaces out during the day. So at the point that the automation's running, I always say I vary. I even have my people vary calling to see when they'll come back. And then I look at the habit pattern of the person. And the only thing I got to do, shame on me, is get with the Marcus thing about following up more online Facebook to see their Facebook activity. so that I can come at them when they're there. I've got people on at 4 or 5 in the morning. I'm not getting up, but I'm mindful of the thought that if I don't catch them before 9, I'm going to wait till late at night to send something out because I know that they might be a shift worker. So you actually have to look at who you're trying to reach out to and tailor what you're doing to them. And so the nice thing about like your Gmail, you don't have to be up at 3 in the morning, but if they're doing a lot of stuff at 3 in the morning, set your text to go out at that time of day and go to bed. That way they'll get that. And you can follow the response up in the morning. I let it work, let the system work while you're sleeping. That's the smart automation. I mean, I can send you something, set it up at 3 in the morning. If you've been in there every day, then at 3 in the morning, I'm gonna let email go out to them and just say, hey, I did get your email. I know you kind of work late. What is the best time for me to call you, during the day? Because I want to be mindful or respectful of, whether you're a night shift worker or what, but I vary. I go after them based on their activity times.
I think it's important to profile every single person. They're profiling you. So if you can find and cross-reference records and find them in title and, you're just genuinely, authentically looking to connect, what's the point? It is a numbers game, right? It is a numbers game. Your just percentages are exponentially increasing to have a conversation with them if you're looking to connect with them. And listen, they found you on their personal Facebook newsfeed. Don't forget that's their personal Facebook space where they found that ad. It's just common sense to reconnect there. It's your business page they found you on, but you're a person on the other side of that. You're looking to connect to them one-on-one. Where else can you be more relational than back on Facebook? So at least they're comfortable in that space. So if you have a good, compelling reason to connect with them and you leverage you're just genuine about it and why they want to connect with you there, you should be messaging everybody. You should friend request everybody. Like, add them into a list and see if you can create some, a lot of that's going to be that know, like, trust model. They're going to just know, like you by seeing you every day. And before you know it, they're like, hey, we love what you're putting out there. Not just, what you do as a professional, but who you are as a person. I think that's
the level of trust also from, and I love this, the Marcus Facebook stalking 101. Look to see what groups they have, or if there's any mutual contacts, any commonalities, some kind of bond. And when you're saying building trust and stuff like that, I actually had someone that I knew that they knew, and they asked that person about me, and they're like, he's the guy. And other people, when they give you that prop, you don't have one foot in the door, you have both. So I don't just worry about the friend thing. Look and see if there's some kind of relationship, whatever, where they like cars. I mean, Wendy, they see her Jeeping everywhere. The next thing you know, they're sending her stuff like, oh my God, I just got that lift kit, and just that bond. Once you create something in common, your both feet are in the door.
Yeah.
Hey, Marcus.
Yes.
Another thing, you had asked me if I forget who asked me if I had deviated at all, if I just left it as the template out of the gate. And that part I did, but I set up an API through Zap to go to my Sly broadcast and also to my Real Geeks backend. So part of what it sends out, and I totally forgot it because I just got a response on this call from somebody, is 3 different Sly broadcasts. One is basically it sends it out 5 minutes after they initially come on the site, just saying, hey, I got your inquiry, blah, 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 blah. But it's my voice and it gives all my information. And the second one that I send out is sent 3 days later. And it says that I just wanted to confirm that I got the right Facebook. It looks like we have a lot of stuff in common, blah, 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 blah. And then the third is just a follow-up to my valuation. So those Sly broadcasts definitely have been helping quite a bit because I don't have to make the phone call myself and it goes out automated.
Wow. Let's stop real quick and talk about Sly broadcast. What is that? And tell us a little bit more about it. That sounds very intriguing.
You don't know what Sly broadcast is? So no, Sly broadcast, it basically, it started with Sly Dial. Sly Dial, if you use an app called Sly Dial on your phone, when you call somebody, it'll bypass, it has to be a cell phone, okay? It'll bypass their voicemail and it'll go straight to their voicemail. So if you just want to get them a quick update, you Sly broadcast and say, hey, we're on for 5 o'clock or whatever. You don't have to listen to their 5-minute recording and everything else. Or sometimes worse yet, they pick up and you got to talk to them for 5 minutes. You just want to give them a message. Sly broadcast lets you do the same thing, but to a group. So I initially set it up to send messages to my team and then to my foreclosure buyers when I get new listings, but then I've incorporated it into this, just set up unique recordings and they fire out as you set them up.
Okay. That's cool. I can see it. Wendy, you said you got some haters. Maybe you need to change up your slide broadcasting.
Nothing political.
I started using it, like I would put one of my new listings, and then I'd go to Cole Realty, I'd pull up the whole neighborhood, I'd get all those phone numbers, put them in the slide broadcast, and let everybody know what their neighbor did. And it's cool because your voicemail goes directly, or I mean your message goes directly to their voicemail without even ringing, and you can do it to hundreds of people at the same time, which is awesome. But I had so many people mad, and if it would have been like 3 years ago, like that would have been genius. But everybody's doing it, and like, how many messages do you get on your phone that don't ring? You know, and then just so many people were being so mean. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was called all kinds of names, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just stick to what I'm good.
That's how I got my health insurance this year.
Oh, from a message on your phone?
Yeah, it actually worked. My insurance agent is in Orlando, and I checked him like, who the heck is this guy? My phone didn't ring, and I'm like, he's using the slide dial.
I know. And I mean, it's awesome and it's great. Like if you're doing an open house, do the same thing. You just get everybody's phone numbers, let everybody know their neighbor's having an open house. And I mean, I just thought, oh my God, I'm gonna just rock this. And oh, yeah, so bad. So I was like, okay, I can't do this.
Well, and you know what I think on there? I think it could be used well if you like make fun of yourself with it. Like, you know what I mean? So when they get it and they're like, they know they're receiving it, have a little fun with it so they know it's not like a typical slide dial that they're getting.
Yeah. Preface it by saying, hey, I know your phone didn't ring, you know, and you have some top secret CIA technology or something.
Yeah,
I was just going, hello. So, oh, wow. You must be on the other line. Okay. Hey, it's Leon from your house team. I was just following up with you about your home valuation you asked for. Please feel free to go ahead and reach out and give me a call. And I've got mine set up where I can actually mass send them out, I think up to like 5,000 at a time or something like that, and schedule it out. So it's, I haven't used it in a while either, but
Leon,
I do have one on my phone.
Do that script. I want to see how it goes. Do it, please.
Do it now?
Just the script that you just made up. Do that with your next slide out. Say hello.
All right, I'll get it. No, that's what I was doing before. I go hello, and I go hello. Oh wow, okay. I guess I say, hey, it's Leon from your house's team. You must be on the other line. I was just reaching back out to you because you had been on one of my sites looking for information on your home, and you know, they respond.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I like that.
Good stuff. Hey guys, we're kind of coming to the end of the hour here. So if there's anything that you want to share or for us to kind of highlight, unmute yourself now, ask away or share away.
Where do we put in emails that are not in our area? So if we got one from, I live in BC, but I got an email from Alberta.
I send out an automated email to them, like, or not automated, but template. And it basically just says, you know, hey, I'm a rockstar realtor in Las Vegas. But I, you know, so I don't, you know the value of your home being out of state. And basically it just says, but I know amazing agents all over the world. So let me know if you need someone in your area to help you find your home's value. And then you find someone and get the referral.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, because the really important thing about this, don't sit there. I always say never throw money away. You're paying for this. Reach out. If I don't see someone in StreetText, I'll go find someone in one of my masterminds, one of my groups. If it turns into a referral, it's funding your system. It's paying for ads. I had like 4 or 5 referrals last year I did simply because, you know, it's almost like, hey, wrong number. No, you got the right number. And just hook them up with that. And then that way, like I said, don't ever let anything get away. If they're coming in the system, they're looking. If they say, I'm just curious, they're curious for a reason. So anytime you get something, whether you don't say, hey, well, I don't work that area, throw it aside. Don't throw it aside. Spend that extra 10 or 15 minutes, find somebody. You know, one of the things we have to remember, real estate is a business, not a hobby. So treat it like a business. And if they come in there like that, send them somewhere else. I love it when I get a call from my office, go, hey, Leon, the check showed up. What would you like us to do with it? Give it to me. So yeah, just, definitely use the leads like that. And then some of the young folks on here, and I say young only in terms of new to StreetText, you guys are the ones that have questions about things we've already covered. Ask, please, because that's refresher for us. And a lot of times when we rehash it, somebody's done something new with it that puts us on a whole new path. And it ain't like a 2-lane road. It throws us on the freeway. So, I mean, I go into StreetText Insider Group every night when life's quieted down, and I get looking through there to see what new ideas someone else has come up with that's going to put some money in my pocket. So just please, definitely don't, there is no dumb question. The only dumb question is the one not asked.
So I have a quick input. What I have a system that I use called Remind. I don't know who's actually has ever used that. I was a beta tester for them in the beginning, so I understand the system. So when I get someone that I just put in their address, or those who are not responding, I make a list, download that CSV from StreetText, and then I can directly send them a postcard. I've been getting some response to that, just as a CMA, kind of put myself back in their view, just not their email, but actual physical. Because the beauty about Remind, it's title fed and MLS fed, so I can check if someone's actually the owner or just someone who's curious about that house, because it will mail directly to the mailing address that's on file from title, not just the property address. So that's something I started incorporating about 2 weeks ago, and out of the 100, I've got 5 so far this week, past week actually. So I got a couple people that I'm actually gonna do a presentation now because they're interested. I'm in Utah too, so the market here is hot, like probably everything else. But that's one system I use. The MLS used to give you a free. I Because I was a beta tester, I get a little bit higher. But if you guys have any question about that, I can show you what I've done. So
yes, please share it in the group, and the example of the postcard that you get sent out from Remind would be great.
And this is the beauty about Remind, because of being a beta tester, we were okay, what works good for us? And I said, why can't we make our own postcard? I can actually do the postcard on the spot, proof it, send it. Then I send myself one. So when I know I get one, everyone else is more likely getting that as well. So then I time it, see how long I get a response from these individuals. Like I said, I just started a couple of weeks. So I'm like, I'm going to use this because I have it available. But with the depending what level you're on, of course, I do have the little bit higher one because I was a beta tester. But it's something that I have taken in, and it's actually helping me out with in conjunction with the StreetText. I think StreetText is awesome. And I can just go ahead, okay, these people are responding, these I haven't got much interaction, and I just send them again so I can get that face to face at least, so they can see my postcard and say, okay, oh, I remember this, I'm gonna just follow up. And I send them directly to my email to get a CMA, so I actually have the information, everything cross-reference. Okay, this is working out. So I actually have someone that's going to help me do that now, because I'm starting to get a little bit busy on that side. So yeah, I'll post a little video on what I do. I'll work on that, and then if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out, because I understand the system pretty well.
Your other thing also, people have been in the group asking about the folks whose names don't match anything, and I put in there, use your tax data info. Look in the MLS just to make sure they don't own a house down the street and they're the nosy, curious neighbor. Go ahead and use truepeoplesearch.com to see if it pings as some kind of relationship to the person, because I had a couple of deals last year where they were helping people sell their home, whether it was a great aunt or just an older friend or whatever. They're the ones out here getting information because they're tax savvy. So never just pass something because it doesn't match. And if you have to, ask the relationship straight up. I mean, just if all else fails, just, hey, I noticed your name's not on title. Can I ask what it is you're looking for so that I can help you better? Because if they're the ones helping them sell the home and you blow it off, that's more money you just threw out the window. So, when you're looking at stuff, we're in an information age, try to get the information on what it is and try to find out what it is they really wanted.
Genius. Hey, Jim, did you have something you wanted to add? I saw that you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so I knew you were gonna call me out. So I just signed up for StreetText last week. It was like Thursday. Got like 19 leads already. Went on my first listing presentation yesterday. And for Jamila, say how you pronounce your name. So I'm sending everybody RPR reports in an email. I have a formatted email from a previous seller campaign in Follow Up Boss, and I'll just do the RPR report and pull up that template and send it. And then I have them on 2 different drips. One is sends out an automated text first if they have a phone number, and then there's a copy of that with no automated text. I use Follow Up Boss for my CRM. And I'm also a YLOPO user. So what I did was I had a lady from Florida inquire about her property. I'm on Long Island. So I went into RPR, looked up her property, and then I noticed it happened to be right near Tampa. So I have a friend who's an agent in Tampa who is also a YLOPO user. I texted him. I said, hey, check this lead out. Gave him all the information plus the RPR report. He set her up on HomeBot for that address, and he already started engaging with her. So I'll get a referral fee out of that deal. And RPR is free for everybody. It's a National Association of Realtor tool. You just go in, you click, put in the address and put seller's report, and it comes right up. The other thing I've been doing is cross-referencing people with HomeSnap. HomeSnap, because they give you, if you're HomeSnap Pro Plus user, I think it was $99 for the first year to sign up. I know CoStar just took them over. It gives you all the seller information right at the bottom of the address. So names, emails, phone numbers, everything. So yeah, there's a lot of, on top of this, there's a lot of free stuff. So I think I have like probably 50% of the leads that have come in already are almost ready to go. I just got an email response from somebody asking me to call him back from just a drip email, and it's a StreetText lead. So that'll be 2.
Jim just started last week. I just saw that you came in. You actually just signed up just now.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I forgot to put my credit card on. Like 7 days is almost up.
So,
Question.
go ahead, Paul.
What's that?
Hey Jim, are you using the you sending the full report or the mini report on the RPR?
In RPR, I send the seller's report, but I go in and I adjust. You don't need to give them all those heat maps and all that stuff. I go into, if you drop that menu,
you select.
you uncheck a bunch of those things, and it turns out to be like a 13-page report. And it's the house. The very next page is the automated value with the value range, and then properties and so forth. And then your name and your information is right on the report. I attach it right to an email and send it to them.
Okay.
So that, and then I push them over into HomeBot and start retargeting them with YLOPO. So if they're not answering me, now they're also getting retargeted by my YLOPO platform. And I don't shut anything down, so I have StreetText drip hitting them on top of my Follow Up Boss drip. And I'm going to be digging into, I forget who it was, that does all the bomb videos inside her emails.
Jennifer Salter.
Yeah, so I'm going to be digging into that and refreshing all my drips and putting all the bomb videos in with it.
Can someone?
Thank you.
I use RPR too, but I've figured out by calling RPR how to get it down to about 5 pages.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot less, if you're mailing it out, it's a lot less expensive to send. And if you use the version where you can go in and pick your own comps, then you just send them like 3 or 4. You don't include all of them, but just give them, kind of a basic idea. So it's there's a question in their mind. You don't want to give them all the information, so it gives them a reason to call you.
I love that. Someone, Jim, maybe you can answer. There's someone that just asked, a couple of people asked me privately too. What is HomeBot?
Oh, HomeBot is what is HomeBot? It sends them it's an integration in the back end of my Ylopo platform, but it's also available to people, outside of Ylopo. It sends them like an equity report. So it tells them how much their home is worth now. And then it also pulls in their mortgage records, and it'll tell them how much equity they have. It asks them if their loan amount is correct and their interest amount, so they can do their own adjusting. But then it also gives them tips like, if you were to add 1 more payment a year, you would pay off your mortgage and save this much money. If you were to rent your house out for Airbnb, this is how much money you could make off of your house every year. So it's a really cool tool. I don't like the name of it because HomeBot, people don't want to be spammed. And, the email that goes out says, here's your HomeBot report. And there's really nothing you could do about changing that email because it's an integration for me. But it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool tool.
Hey, do you use this lamp?
I'm gonna piggyback on that. And here's what I tell people about HomeBot. HomeBot has so much garbage. There's something in it for everybody, and that's what makes it beautiful. I always say, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. You're not going to find a cheaper program at $25 a month that's going to touch all your people once a month. So It's nice in that, because also when you're doing your follow-ups in HomeBot itself, it'll show you who's the most active. You can go after them. It shows you who's not active, so you can go after those as well. But it's a very good system to keep people engaged, because every time we say what we're going to sit down and do on Wednesday or Thursday, something else gets in the way and we don't do it. So it's a very good automated assistant, and at less than $1 a day, I have never seen another program that'll give as much out to keep people engaged for you.
Yeah, here's the thing too, is it was originally built as a banker's tool or a loan officer's tool, and then they added a bunch of stuff to it. So they have a bunch of sponsored lenders in there. So if you have a lender and their bank shows up, like Freedom Mortgage or Chase or whatever, reach out to your rep and say, hey, why don't you hook me up with this?
And guys, what I'm finding with the HomeBot, if you integrate it with BombBomb, what happens, like what I'm doing is I'm taking, before I actually send the digest, I take their digest in preview format. I integrate the video. I explain to them a quick overview, like a 2-minute quick overview video. That I'm finding out that is getting a lot faster open rates. And then once they actually get the home digest, you can see that basically they followed your outline as you did it on your video, because the HomeBot gives you exactly what they've opened, what they looked at. And then if that evaluation is wrong, then of course they're going to reach out to you, and therefore there's the start of the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, Juan, can you post that inside the insider group for people to look at and see? I know Wendy did one a while back, I think it was too, but that's a little different than what she was doing. So that brings back on what I was saying before about people that are building up on things and refreshing things. I'd love to watch it.
Sure, I'll post it.
I think for the, I don't know, I don't go, I just add people to HomeBot and I forget about them. because I don't know if I have all the features being it's an integration into YLOPO. So I just add them, and then I usually get responses out of them though, you know.
Are you following up on your leads out of HomeBot by going into the system, Jim?
No, because I'm following up through Follow Up Boss. So Follow Up Boss will send me a message if somebody engaged with my HomeBot.
Right. I've got follow-up bot because I had YLOPO for a while. But what I was saying is I have my daughter going into my HomeBot, and when she sees activity, she's copy and paste, and she's dropping it out of my G Suite account. And so I'm further tracking opens, but she can schedule them to go out for me. She does it late at night, and based on the activity she sees in there from the HomeBot itself, she's actually using their activity to follow up, and I'm getting more engagement. That's why I like what Juan was saying about giving the demonstration as well to them to see what they're getting, because that's something I would do. So thank you, Juan, for teaching me today.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people love explainer videos. Like I used to use Loom a lot to just say, hey, this is what you're going to be signing when I send you your electronic documents. And I do a 5-minute Loom of a list, you know, if I'm sending a listing paperwork, and people love that stuff.
It's good stuff. Wow.
This is good stuff. Who's heard of Video Ask?
Video Ask. Nah.
We
think I might
it's
have,
probably get me in some trouble, but who wants to try putting Video Ask in their thank you page? So Video Ask, the idea
always a sucker for a beta.
so Video Ask, the way it works is basically it's like BombBomb, but embedded into the website. But it allows the person to respond either through video or voice message or text message. And so it can actually start the conversation for you right there. So on the thank you page, if a person has more questions, or they, you know, maybe they'd like to get more information before or as the home report's being put in, I think that would be potentially a really cool way to start the conversation automatically. So you're basically taking, it's kind of like the BombBomb experiences in your video, but it's right into the thank you page.
Okay.
Video Ask.
Yeah, I'd have to see how it works.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I have to see how it works, and maybe you could do a one-on-one or something. You know.
Always something we can try, hey? All right, that's been an awesome mastermind. There's so much gold nuggets that comes out of this. I think someone's asking how we can get the chat feature, because it's been hard for them to grab. So we'll look into that for this Zoom, Troy, I think, since we changed the mastermind from the old link to this new link. So we'll look into that to get you the chat feature as well. And everybody have an awesome day. Thanks for coming. Everything you wanted to pull or share, put it back in the insider group, and we can continue the conversation. Thanks, guys.